Visit onfiretv.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.
Back. You made Diamond K in here, of course. TheDiamondKShow.com, onfire-tv.com. A lot of things going on. This has been a very eventful last few days. A lot of things that we got to get into today. We're going to talk about the 10-year-old abuse victim being denied abortion. 10 years old. We're going to talk about that and how that has sparked some outrage. 7 dead now, was 6, now 7 dead after a gunman fired 70 plus rounds at a 4th of July parade. We're going to talk about that. Liz Cheney says that the January 6th committee could make a criminal referral for Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that. Also, a video that shows Akron police kill an unarmed black man in a hail of gunfire, shooting him 60 times. The body camera footage for that tragedy has been released. We're going to talk about that. Also, a Vermont sheriff refuses to resign after he is criminally charged with sexual assault. Can you believe that? Also, Lil Kim's personal trauma made her feel like looking like a regular girl was not good enough. We're talking about that with regards to the backlash that she's been receiving for her recent appearance at the show, BET Awards, right? So we'll talk a little bit about the reason why she got her plastic surgery and some of that. Also, Brittney Griner's heartbreaking letter to President Biden. We'll talk about that. But actually, the first thing I want to talk about is Macy Gray. Not somebody that we often mention on the show. I like Macy Gray, actually. But Macy Gray defends her transgender comments that she made during an interview with Piers Morgan. So, of course, Piers Morgan, controversial in his own right. Yesterday's episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored is where she did the interview at. Macy Gray spoke about a couple of things. Her controversial thoughts on changing the American flag. We talked about that at the time when she mentioned that. Her strict definition of who can be considered a woman. And this is really what's earned her this backlash. Who she considers to be a woman. And so she's got this online pushback, and some folks are trying to say that her statements are transphobic. During this interview with Piers Morgan's 57 years old. He brought up this op-ed that she wrote. She's 54 years old, by the way. So she wrote this op-ed for Market Watch last year. And she called the U.S. flag tattered, dated, divisive, and incorrect. And she compared it to the American flag. The Confederate flag. And she said it's time for a redesign of that. And she said that it represents, the past. And we need something now that represents diversity and present day America. So she talked about that. That got folks, riled up. And she stood by those comments. She said that reboot the Constitution, the flag, all the old standards that our ancestors lived by were right for the times that they lived in, but we live in different times now. And she said, to me, what the states do best is diversity, is culture. You know what I mean? Without culture in America, you really don't have much going on. And they went back and forth about that. And then it went to something that Piers Morgan said that most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is, and asked Macy Gray to define a woman. And this is what has folks, some folks, up in arms. Some folks agree with her. So when asked her definition of a woman, she said that I would say a human being with boobs, you have to start there, and a vagina. She said that. And so Pierce Morgan said that the dictionary definition of a woman is quite straightforward, seeming to equate it with Macy Gray's personal meaning of the word. To which the singer responded with comments about pronouns. See, now that's getting confusing. The whole he, she, they, Macy Gray said. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sports. I support all trans rights to fairness and equality, Pierce Morgan said, and Macy Gray agreed. Pierce Morgan continued, but not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport. Macy Gray agreed. And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go and change your parts doesn't make you a woman. Sorry, she said. And Piers Morgan asked, you feel that? She said, I know that for a fact. But if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that does not make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery. Yeah, there are a lot of so-called celebrities that will not touch this topic with a 10-foot pole. Not touch a topic with a 10-foot pole. Very eventful week. Absolutely. Shout out to South Africa. Good morning. It's night over here and morning in South Africa. What's going on in South Africa? Like, what is the biggest news item in South Africa? I'd like to hear that on Instagram. People do feel that their biological sex, and then there's gender identity added, Piers Morgan. You can identify as whatever you like. That's the freedom we live in. But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are. Women go through just a completely unique experience, and surgery or finding yourself doesn't change that. Macy Gray continued, being a little girl is a whole epic book, and you can't have that just because you want to be a woman. Whole lot to unpack there. She's very outspoken, and I appreciate her honesty. I appreciate her saying what she feels. Now, if you remember, there was some lady. What was her name? Rachel something? Rachel Dozer something. I always screw up her last name. Anyway, she was a white lady who identified as black. Right? She said that she grew up around black people or whatever, and she identified as black, and for so long she was passing in society as a black woman when she actually was white. Right? Now, of course, some folks will say, "Oh, it's not the same thing," and nothing is the same thing, right? We have different scenarios that we have to kind of equate together and find some commonality. So she said she identified as being black and lived her life that way until she was outed. Now, because she identified as black, and because maybe she filled it out on some applications and she wanted people to call her that, did that make her black? No, it didn't. Now, she can support the culture. She could be down with it. She could be an ally, right? And she can twist her hair. And she wore her hair in braids like a lot of black women do. But that didn't make her black, right? So Macy Gray is coming at this from that perspective and saying that I'll call you what you want. I will say that because that's what you asked me to do. But that does not make you a woman. That does not, because you have a surgery does not make you a woman. And then, supporters of what she is trying to speak out against will say that that's all it takes is them to feel it, them to identify it as it, and that makes them that. and we're at two opposite ends of the spectrum. Can you just decide, or as they may say, it's not decision, and there's so many parsing of the words. It was not decide. It's it's what I was, or I feel that, or I've always felt that, and you can't tell somebody what they feel, right? But what they feel does not change what they are, is what Macy Gray is saying, and Pierce Morgan is saying, and so many others say, but they are scared to say this. So I've been watching her social media, and she's been going back and forth with folks about this. She's entitled to say what she feels. And because the community that she's saying this about is almighty and all powerful, many folks don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, I agree with many things that she said. I agree that you should be able to be called whatever you want. You should not be discriminated against because you want to be called whatever you want to be called. And if somebody says, look, don't call me Jimmy, call me Sam. Okay, Sam, right? Cool, no problem, right? If somebody says, call me she, fine, call her she, whatever, and that's fine. And, if you want to live your life a certain way, you should live your life a certain way. But if you want to get into this particulars, you want to get into the mud of it, you can also change your mind and say, no, I'm going to live as however you were born. And then you switch back. Is Bruce Jenner really a woman now? That's the question. Is he? She? Is Caitlyn really a woman? What if Caitlyn decides, I want to live as Bruce now? So now we undo everything. She gets a divorce from being a woman, and now she goes back to being a man, and then we're supposed to switch. Because it's all in what she feels. He feels. They feel. Right? It can be very confusing. And just because you disagree with something, just because you question it, just because you have a thought different than whatever the person is saying, does not mean that it is a phobia. Does not mean that you fear it. Does not mean that you hate it. Doesn't mean any of that. But this negative connotation has been put on these very sensitive subjects, and it causes all type of controversy and confusion. And it is what it is. I'm not scared to talk about it. She has her thoughts, and I happen to agree with her thoughts. Now, doesn't matter what I think, right? It doesn't matter what she thinks. You can say whatever you want to say. As it relates to the trending news in Africa, he's saying trending news items are 27 underage that are allegedly poisoned at a local club. This happened in his city, in East London. Google it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check that out. As it relates to transgenders in sports, I mean, this is just not right. When you have this, you have folks that were born as men that now identify as women and get into female sports and then dominate, and then everybody just says, "Oh, that's a woman," right? So, are we saying that a lady, someone born as a lady, can transition to a man and then play in the NFL? Well, is that what we're saying? Well, we can't be saying that. We can go on and on about this. But you know how I feel. You know how Macy Gray feels. You know how Pierce Morgan feels. I like to know how you feel. Let me know in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, of course. onfire-tv.com, thediamondkshow.com, djdiamondk@gmail.com. All right, so a lot of other things on my docket here. And, 4th of July is always tricky for folks. 4th of July. But that is the holiday that just passed. And some folks saying that now that Juneteenth is recognized, they not celebrating 4th of July. Now, keep in mind, I didn't see any of those folks go to work. They took that day off, right? They weren't trying to go to work. And you can celebrate both. You can celebrate both. You do whatever you want to do, right? You love this country. Now the country's flawed. Countries needs some work, but that doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you pass away the birth of this country. Black people were so instrumental in the building up of this country. So to try to disown the country, no, how? Why? Why would you do that? Doesn't make sense. We fight to make it better, right? And for you to elevate the holiday that symbolizes the last slaves being told that they were free over the birth of the country that we helped build, it doesn't make sense to me. We celebrate both. You should celebrate both, not just one over the other. Yeah. So a 10-year-old girl was denied an abortion in her home state of Ohio. We're going to get to some of the other things that happened in Ohio, but she was denied an abortion in Ohio, had to travel to Indiana to have this procedure performed, and she was raped. So the reason why is a 10-year-old pregnant, right? She was raped. She was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant, but she was not allowed to have an abortion in Ohio because the state has banned the procedure after 6 weeks when fetal cardiac activity may be detected, the heartbeat. So she, 10 years old, was raped. An Ohio doctor who determined the term of the girl's pregnancy referred her to an Indianapolis doctor 3 days after this Supreme Court ruling that reversed Roe versus Wade. So an abortion ban had not taken effect in Indiana. The girl traveled to a doctor, Dr. Caitlin Bernard's office, to have the procedure done. And it is it's a very sad situation. So this has been the subject of a lot of debate. No additional details about the girl's situation or the circumstances of what happened, possibly based on her age. She's 10 years old. Now, these reports come in the aftermath of the Supreme Court ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade, which happened on June the 24th. It had been foreshadowed. This opinion was leaked, and you had these folks say, oh, no, we have to wait till the opinion comes. And this has been 50 years in the making. 50 years in the making. Democrats caught flat-footed about this. Now, the activists were warning, well, we have Joe Biden in the White House, right? Mr. Know Nothing, Do Nothing, okay? He ain't going to do nothing. Now, some folks, especially these older folks, are so stuck on this gentleman's agreement. They're playing a game that Republicans are not playing. Democrats still think that this is a very polite, gentle thing. Everything with regards to politics and government, they think that. And that is why they always get beat by the Republicans. That's why they get beat. So before the Supreme Court decision, Ohio did not ban most abortions until the 22nd week of pregnancy. But the state has since imposed a host of other restrictions, including parental consent for minors, nothing wrong with that, a required ultrasound, and in-person counseling followed by a 24-hour waiting period. A lot of rules. Abortions are prohibited for the reason of a fetal Down syndrome diagnosis. Ohio also limits the public funding of abortions to cases of rape, incest, or endangerment of the patient's life. A ban on most abortions at the first detected heartbeat became the law in Ohio hours after the Supreme Court ruling last month. It's so ironic that folks claim to care so much about these babies until they're born. After they're born, they could give a damn about these babies. The people are already saying in many instances they can't afford the kids, which is why they're having the abortion, why they want to have the abortion. But no, you have these folks that want to control what happens. Even in the case where a 10-year-old has been raped and impregnated, they still, oh no, she's supposed to have this baby. It is a sad state of affairs that we are in. But unless Democrats and activists get serious and understand how to move the needle in this country, nothing's going to go their way. The people are not going to have any decision. The people are not going to control what happens with their own bodies. You've heard how I feel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, of course, onfire-tv.com. I am here, and we have so much more to get into. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break and come back with more of the program right after this.
On Fire TV is a streaming network for a generation on the move.
Welcome back. The Flywire and TFP Entertainment presents the Flywire's 15th annual White Tie Affair. Baltimore's biggest and most celebrated event returns Sunday, July the 24th, 2022 from 5 to 10 p.m. at Hammerjacks, the outdoor venue. It's been 2 years since the last white party, but the party of the year returns with another exceptional, fun, and elegant red carpet cocktail reception. Music by DJ Kiwi, DJ Tons, and Super DJ Big L. Tickets on sale right now, hammerjacks.com. It is an all-white party. It is outdoors. Make sure you dress appropriately. So we're talking about Ohio, and I said that there's some other things that happened in Ohio that we got to talk about. Jayland Walker shot 60 times by police. I have seen folks online defending the fact that this man was shot and killed by the police and shot 60 times. He was black. He was unarmed when the Akron police chased him on foot and killed him in a hail of gunfire. Now, you're going to hear folks talk about, oh, he shot at the police. Okay, he allegedly shot at the police when he was in the car. Allegedly. They claim to have found a gun in the car. There was no magazine in the gun, no bullets in the gun. So we'll have to see about that. So he was allegedly pulled over, or they attempted to stop him because of some unnamed traffic violation. A week after he's been killed, they still can't tell us why he was being pulled over. What was the violation? Nobody knows, right? They got to come up with something. And I guess a week is not enough time for them to come up with something. Now, officers, as I said, believe that he shot at them earlier from the vehicle. And they feared that he was preparing to fire again. Now, what's interesting is that when the chase started, it's a car chase. They claim that he fired. We don't have evidence of this other than they claim some flash that they're trying to show. Who knows what that is? But they claim that he fired at them. He exited the vehicle at a certain point in time. Okay, had a ski mask on his face. Officers did not shoot him initially. They attempted to deploy tasers. Taser deployment was unsuccessful. They did not stop him with the tasers. Then later on, they fired these 60 rounds. Here's my thing. If you think that this guy fired shots at you, and now he is on foot, why is the first thing that you do to deploy the tasers? Why didn't they shoot him first? They didn't shoot him first because they didn't think he was a threat. If they thought he was a threat initially, they would have just shot first, right? No, they waited. A chase continues. Now a foot chase. Officers get mad. This is what I'm thinking. Officers got mad. Then they shot him. So they're mad. They're retaliating. You gonna make me chase you? Then they unload, right? Okay. It only takes one officer to fire, and then the rest are going to follow suit. It's just so ironic that whenever these suspects are armed and they've killed people and all this kind of stuff, they don't ever fire at them. They're never in fear for their life. When they pull in mass murderers, they're never in fear for their life. It's only when there's an unarmed black person, then they're in fear. They're only brave when the person's not armed. When you have officers that move like that, that's a problem. But you're going to have folks online that are going to defend this action. They're going to defend this action. And we're going to talk about the mass murderer, 4th of July, that they just took in with no problems. He's already killed people, injured dozens. They take him in. They don't want no problems with a person that has a gun. Actually, it's these unarmed folks that we gotta be heavy-handed with. So the Akron police, this murder happened a week ago. The Akron police, over this 4th of July holiday, released a video of the shooting of 25-year-old Jayland Walker. So Walker was killed on June the 27th. So he said it was in a pursuit that started with an attempted traffic stop. The mayor called the shooting heartbreaking while asking for patience from the community. Police are not the judge, jury, and executioner. So whatever this guy did that was wrong, whatever, if his tags were bad or if he did some kind of illegal lane change, even if he shot at the police, right? Let's just pretend that he did shoot at the police. The police cannot execute this man. That's not a reason for them to execute him. They are supposed to be trained. They're supposed to be trained for a reason, right? And some people go, "Oh, the police are." That's not the army. We're not at war. They're supposed to apprehend the suspect. They cannot make the decision. You're guilty until proven innocent. Is that how we're moving? No, you're innocent until proven guilty. And so we have these rash of cases where police officers are, they cloud it. They cloud things with saying that, "Oh, we need training, more training, more of this, more of that," whatever. The press conference, the police chief couldn't even give you the reason why he was pulled over, and it's been a week. That right there shows you that they're coming up with a story. It's been 1 week, and they can't even tell you what law he violated, bringing on this interaction, this attempted traffic stop. If he actually did something, his tail light was out. He ran the red light. Tags was bad. Just whatever it was. I don't know, because they don't know. They don't know. And because there's no reason. There's no reason. It is heartbreaking. And folks in Akron are upset. Folks around this country are upset. And they have a lot of reason to be that way. It is not clear how many shots were fired by the 8 officers involved, 7 white, 1 black. But Walker sustained more than 60 wounds. 60. The murderer that was in Uvalde, Texas, didn't get any guns. There were no gunshots on him, right? There were no wounds on him, right? Or were there? Were there wounds on him? There weren't 60. Yeah, there weren't 60. And, so it is ironic. When we look at mass murders and the history of them, they're usually taken in without any incident because the police don't want no drama. They don't want no drama. Attorney for the Walker family said that the officers kept firing even after he was on the ground. Right? And after that, they handcuffed him. They handcuffed him until he was pronounced dead. After shooting him and hitting him over 60 times, or at least 60 times. Officers attempted to stop the car around 12:30 a.m. Unspecified traffic and equipment violations. We don't know what. But less than a minute into the pursuit, the sound of a shot was heard, they say, from the car. And transportation department camera captured what appeared to be a muzzle. There's some type of a flash of light. Now, even if he did fire this shot, 60 bullets, and even if they had to kill him, 60 bullets, this is overkill, right? But I still don't see why there was the need to kill this man. And I watched the very upsetting, very disturbing police body camera footage multiple times. So the Akron police chief says that once the muzzle flash was shown coming from the vehicle, that changed the nature of the case from a routine traffic stop to a public safety issue. If that is the case, if that is what changed it to a public safety issue, then how do you justify when police take in mass murderers without incident? That's a public safety issue. When they say the person may be armed and dangerous, and they've just killed half a dozen people, they still take him in without incident. Yeah, it is a problem in this country. It is very clear and obvious to see what's going on. I mean, all we have to do is look at what's been happening. You know how I feel about this. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfire-tv.com, thediamondkshow.com, or djdiamondk@gmail.com. Let's do this, take a quick break, come back with more of the show after this. I got a lot more to get into.
On Fire TV is a streaming network for a generation on the move.
So for the last 16 years, the Baltimore Crown Awards has been connecting, developing, honoring, and promoting the Baltimore scene. Get your green clothes ready, formal, semi-formal, however you feel fly. The 2022 Baltimore Crown Awards is an emerald party. The nomination process is happening right now. This is going to determine the actual nominees for the show. They need your input. Visit thebaltimorescene.org, thebaltimorescene.org. Tell them who should be honored at the ceremony. There are many great categories like Visual Artist of the Year, Retail, Makeup Artist, Movement of the Year, many, many more. The 16th Annual Baltimore Crown Awards goes down Saturday, November the 19th at the Garage, 6 Lafayette Avenue in Baltimore, and it will be hosted by Desi Alexander. Tickets on sale right now. As I said, the baltimorescene.org, thebaltimorescene.org. So you're back here on the Diamond K Show. A lot of things that we have covered, but we still got a lot more to get into. So, we've been talking about 4th of July, and the 4th of July is a time where there are fireworks, there are parades, there are cookouts, there are families getting together. And in the Chicago area, there was a shooting, a mass murder. A gunman opened fire on an Independence Day parade at a time when folks are just with their families, hoping and not really thinking that something like this is going to happen. But this is the reality that we live in now. So in this mostly white suburb of Chicago, yesterday, 7 people, as of right now, killed, wounding 24, sending hundreds of marchers, parents with strollers, children on bicycles, fleeing in terror. The suspect, who apparently fired from a concealed spot on a rooftop, remained on the loose for hours as authorities tried to secure the area. He dressed as a woman to try to conceal his identity, then blended in with the crowd and tried to escape. The area is called Highland Park. The police commander said that the incident, he talked about how he was urging folks to shelter in place. People were talking about how, affluent the area is. The median household income is like 150,000. So folks, this is not something that happens here. This is a white community. This is something that happens somewhere else. But folks have to understand, no, this is happening in your community. This is happening all across this country. This is just the latest shooting in a host of other just murders. This has just become a part of American life. Schools, churches, grocery stores, now community parades. Literally, no one is safe. The streets have become killing grounds in recent months. This time, the bloodshed came as the nation tried to find a cause to celebrate its founding. It's flawed founding, but founding nonetheless. And then we're forced to struggle with the terror that has been brought upon us. A shooting occurred at a spot on the parade route where many of the residents had staked out prime viewing points. They did this early in the day so they could be at a really good, position so they could see the parade. And then that's when this coward starts shooting. Dozens of fired bullets sent hundreds of parade goers, some visibly bloodied, fleeing, running for their lives. They left a trail of abandoned items that showed everyday life suddenly, violently disrupted. There were chairs everywhere. It's all kind of stuff. And this coward just inflicting damage on these innocent folks. It is a sad thing. Authorities said that the shooter opened fire around 10:15 a.m. local time when the parade was almost done. The gunman used a high-powered rifle to fire from a spot atop a building where he was very difficult to see. Said that the rifle was recovered at the scene. He did buy the gun legally. And, the president said his normal stuff. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I'm not. It is just, this is a reoccurring theme. Police believe there was only one shooter, but warned that he should still be considered armed and dangerous. They ended up taking in the alleged shooter. I don't know. It just seems like it is always something. Always something. I posted on Instagram something that, I noticed. And as much as we talk about it, some folks are going to still try to justify the two Americas that we clearly are living in. The two Americas. So why do I say two Americas? Let's see if we can get my Instagram page up here. All right, so I posted this on Instagram. And for those that are watching on IG or listening to us on iHeartRadio or on Apple or Spotify or Stitcher, I will describe it to you. Okay, so it is a picture of two males, right? Two males. One, 25 years old. One is 22 years old. One allegedly committed a traffic violation, attempted to flee from the traffic stop, shot 60 plus times, and executed by the police. Now, if you're just listening and you can't see what I'm saying, you probably already knew that this was a black man. The other picture beside it, a 22-year-old allegedly murdered 6, actually it's 7, and shot 30 plus others. Attempted to flee from a traffic stop, taken into custody without an incident. And you probably would know that this guy was white. I mean, it is just a crazy time. Crazy time. Looking at some of these comments, let's look at some of these comments if we can bring that up. All right. Some of these comments, Eddie says that it is sad. One commenter says that you can't make this shit up. There are a lot of angry emojis. Somebody said, you see the skin color, just sad. We need to stop running and think they won't shoot us. Somebody else said, same storyline every time. So disgusting and sad. Somebody said, what the? Shaking my head. Somebody said sad. Somebody said effed up. Somebody said, oh my God, that's messed up. What the what? More emojis, shaking my head. Somebody said, ridiculously messed up and irritating. I can't stand this BS stuff with killing and mass shootings. It's so annoying. I can't like this BS. Somebody said that Jalen shot at police, though. Somebody else said that Jalen also had a gun and fired a shot. He also had on a ski mask that covered his whole face. Oh, you got to die because of that. So they killed him because he was black don't make no sense. I guess they're trying to say that they didn't know he was black. Okay, whatever. And another person replying to that previous guy said, 60 times, though? You got to be kidding. Your comment is beyond me. Someone else said that Jalen shot at the police. The other did not. Somebody said, disgraceful and disgusting. Our lives don't matter. Yeah, so that is, some of the reactions that folks are having based on that. And I thought it was interesting because, when you put these guys side by side, there are so many similarities, but the way the whole thing went down, totally different. Totally different. So another thing that I wanted to bring up, and if you can go back to my Instagram. So there was this. Okay. So we're back on my Instagram page, of course, at the Diamond K Show on Instagram. So posted this picture, and we saw Lil Kim at the BET Awards performing with Diddy, and she was, there was a lot going on. She did not give the best performance. It was a little distracting. She obviously looks different than she looked in this picture. What's ironic about this poster, the bottom poster of Lil Kim, this is from 1996. I had this poster on the wall of the record store that I worked in the 90s in Westview Mall. I love this picture. I loved the way Lil Kim looked at the time. And it's unfortunate because, you see somebody one way, but they see themselves or can see themselves an entire other way. So the top picture is Lil Kim during that performance, or right after, during that performance with Diddy. And then the bottom picture is her in her prime look, her most memorable look, I think. And so I want to read this quote. All my life. Well, let me read it. All my life. Men have told me I wasn't pretty enough, even the men I was dating. And I'd be like, well, why are you with me then? It's always been men putting me down, just like my dad. To this day, when somebody says I'm cute, I can't see it. I don't see it, no matter what anybody says. I have low self-esteem, and I always have. Guys always cheated on me with women who were European looking, the long hair type. Really beautiful women that left me thinking, how can I compete with that? Being a regular black girl wasn't good enough. This is Lil Kim in her own words. And when you really listen to what I just read, when you really think about it, you can get an understanding of her mindset. And it's not good. It's not something that folks are happy about. And I think that it's an extreme case, but I'm sure that there are other women who may feel like she feels. Looking at some of these comments, TT the artist, shout out to TT the artist. TT the artist said that that's deep. I'm a boss. Boo said that that's sad, and it is sad. It is sad. And another lady says that I feel so sorry for her. His Stallion says this is so sad, but I knew it stemmed from some trauma in her life. Praying for her healing. And she said that she loves Kimberly. Somebody else, Nurtured by Natasha, says sending prayers her way. Miss Sugar Hill says that explains it. She was beautiful the way God made her. Very true. Brownstone, Tax and Financial said this is so heartbreaking. I can feel her pain. Concrete put up some emojis. Another person said that it's heartbreaking to hear any woman say she can't see her own beauty and worth. Very true. Very true. And the reason why I'm even bringing this up is because, we talk about and folks, make comments about Lil Kim's look, how she looks now, right? And I just want folks to think about and understand that this comes from a place, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about it in a second, but this comes from a place. That this is part of her trauma, part of what she's experienced. Big Lou says, I have to say this, back in the day, Lil Kim was gorgeous. Somebody else says that, girl, if you only knew how beautiful you are, don't let someone else low self-esteem manipulate your beauty. You are a very beautiful, attractive woman. Hold your head up high. Stop listening to the ignorant and continue to prosper in your worth. No one has the right to define the queen that manifests inside your soul. You determine who you are by the way you carry yourself. Some of the most beautiful people in the world have the most ugliest spirit. From what I've heard about you, you rock. And continue applying the pressure. So a lot of folks with positive things to say, but I see so much negativity about Kim and her look. Somebody else said that they felt her pain in so many ways. She is still beautiful, someone else says. And it is, someone said that they love her old look. Someone else said that the goal should never be to compete with anyone else, nor should it be to look beautiful for a man. Your goal should always be to love yourself more and more each day. God will send the man to your life that will accept you for who you are. I like that. Somebody else said that it is so sad. No wonder she did all that and she didn't look European. Those words stuck with her. Somebody else said that this breaks my heart. Not the first time I've seen it. There's so many angles to address. I consistently speak words of affirmation to my daughter and her bio dad and bonus dad, and I pray healing for her. Still my favorite female rapper. If Biggie was alive, she wouldn't be like that. What she did to herself was overkill, somebody else said. So there's a lot to unpack there with Lil Kim. Those tuning in, we're just reading some of the comments under a post that I put up with the current Lil Kim that we saw at the BET Awards, and beside a picture of her from the Hardcore album back in '96 during that time. And, so folks have, been clowning her and ridiculing her, Lil Kim, that is. And I thought, and I posted it and posted the quote that she put up, because I think that many people are unaware of the trauma that Lil Kim has experienced in her past. Because, they had to be unaware, the way I looked at it, because if they were aware, folks would not come at her the way that they did. These are my thoughts, right? So Lil Kim was one of many hip hop legends, R&B legends, that took the stage at the BET Awards last Sunday to honor Diddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs. So the 52-year-old was the recipient of BET's Lifetime Achievement Award and had a career-spanning tribute that had performances from Faith Evans, Jodeci, Mary J. We saw a surprise appearance from Shine. And of course, Lil Kim, saw her. She instantly became the target of social media ridicule for her body, her plastic surgery, what she wore, everything. She had on some sheer tights, a blazer, some high heel boots, green slick back hair, and some aviator shades, right? 47-year-old Lil Kim. She did stumble over her words. There was some kind of she missed the cue. I noticed that immediately that she missed the cue. The rappers were and the singers were rapping with their lyrics. So when you do that, you have got to be on. You can't miss your cue. And if you miss your cue, you got to jump in and correct it. So when she started walking out, she came out on her part. She just thought she was just walking out, and then the beat was going to start. And no, the beat was already going. Her verse was already playing when she walked out, and she was supposed to rap with it, and she just posed and missed her cue. Diddy tried to get her back on, but people kept ridiculing her for her thighs and her butt and just all kind of stuff. So Lil Kim she got her, her face was messed up to some abuse, and she started getting the surgeries in the early 2000s. And it started because of something that a man did to her, right? But it has continued, right? So we could talk about how it started. We can talk about the reasons that Kim justifies getting the surgeries. But at the end of the day, it's her body, right? It's her decision. But she has been ridiculed. And I just think that people need to cut her some slack. People need to cut her some slack. So she underwent surgery back in 2004 after an ex-boyfriend beat her so badly. She talked about in the interview, I guess it was 2005. She talked about that relationship, getting out of that very abusive man. Said she had black eyes, bloody lips, bruised noses. Came out of the hospital, she said, from getting my nose done, and he broke my shit again. I have to have an MRI because he beat me up so bad I couldn't even move. I had blood clots in my back. One day a voice told me, you better leave right now. I had to leave from my own damn house, she said. Lil Kim later talked about the pain she endured during a 2005 interview with Angie Martinez. And she explained she wasn't in an abusive relationship because of low self-esteem. She simply fell victim to thinking that she could change him, she said. I was a little vain at the time, trying to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist, she said. So despite her path, people have often forgotten to have compassion and empathy for this woman who has experienced so much. If you remember last year, 50 Cent was clowning her after her performance at the BET Awards last year. You know, so I just think that we could all have a little compassion and not ridicule this woman. Not the way that we do it is just, I say we because, folks laugh and sometimes things are funny, but at the same time, we got to look at how she got where she is. And it wasn't an easy path for her. Even though we see the beauty that was the Lil Kim of old. And, and it's not, and maybe I'm more sensitive to this because I have 3 sisters, right? But my sisters are strong women. So I'm not saying that Lil Kim is not strong, but we just got to ease up. We got to ease up off that. All right, a couple more things that I want to touch on. Georgia grand jury has subpoenaed Rudy Giuliani and some other Trump flunkies. Fulton County grand jury has issued a gang of subpoenas. 7 people have been subpoenaed, including Lindsey Graham, John Eastman, who is a conservative lawyer, as part of this investigation surrounding former President Donald Trump. So the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported this first, but it is moving on. The Fulton County grand jury is tied to this probe that was launched by the Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Willis, and is looking at whether there were attempts to unlawfully influence the 2020 election by Trump and his allies. So you have that. We're often talking about the January 6th committee and what they're doing, but there is a pending case, or at least this grand jury has convened in Georgia, and they are also looking at bringing charges against the former president. So you have that, and I guess any day now, he may announce that he is running for president again. If anybody commits a crime, president or not, they're not above the law. But for some reason, Democrats hold this magical gentleman's agreement. We don't want to ruffle things. Oh, this has never been done before. No president has ever tried to lead an insurrection either. This is different. The crimes that he's committed are different. So it's going to be different reactions, and they're going to be different things in place to combat this criminal behavior. Liz Cheney says that the January 6th committee could make criminal referral for the ex-president. This House Select Committee that we've been talking about that's investigating the January 6th, 2021 insurrection attempt could make multiple criminal referrals, including the former president, Donald Trump. The panel's vice chair, Republican Liz Cheney, said in an interview on Sunday, "We'll make a decision as a committee about it," the Wyoming Republican told ABC News when asked about the prospect of referring Trump for prosecution. She said yes when asked whether a referral of Trump was possible. So there's this back and forth between the Justice Department and the January 6th committee. It reminds me of the FBI and the CIA. Nobody wants to share information. You know what I mean? The police department and the state's attorney. Nobody wants to communicate, right? You all have to work together, should work together. The Justice Department does not have to wait for the committee to make the criminal referral. And there could be more than one criminal referral. It could happen. Now, we remember the explosive testimony that Cassidy Hutchinson, a former White House aide, a Trump supporter, she recalled being told about Trump's anger. Oh, is that far-fetched? No one can believe that? Even if you don't believe it or not, there's so many other things, because that in itself was not criminal because he's angry. There's just so many other things. So this has been going on for a while. In her testimony, Hutchinson said that she was told by a former White House deputy chief of staff that Trump tried to grab the steering wheel of the car and lunged at a Secret Service agent when he was told that they were going back to the West Wing and not the Capitol during the insurrection. So all his supporters say, "Oh, he didn't grab the wheel," and Trump saying, "I didn't grab the wheel." But all the other things you did those things, right? But you just didn't grab the wheel. Oh yeah, he's guilty. Guilty of bad decisions, bare minimum. Guilty of piss poor behavior at a minimum. But we're going to see how this pans out. Lastly, I want to talk about Brittney Griner. If Brittney Griner was LeBron James, would she be home right now? If Brittney Griner was LeBron James, would this detention have already been resolved? I say yes. What say you? Brittney Griner, the basketball player who is currently imprisoned in Russia, going through a show trial. She wrote a letter, a very heartfelt letter to President Biden. Her wife told CBS that the president has not responded to the WNBA star's recent letter, adding that the government should do more to help her wife. She said that she will not be quiet anymore. I will find that balance of harm versus help in pushing our government to do everything that's possible because they are quiet. They are not moving. BG, as she calls her, Brittney Griner, wrote a letter to Joe Biden that was delivered Monday, asking him to help her and other American detainees in Russia. I realize you are dealing with so much, but please don't forget about me and the other American detainees. Please do all you can to bring us home, she wrote in a letter. So her wife said that she has not heard from him. And honestly, it's very disheartening, she said. It kills me every time, she added. Her wife likely wrote the president because of the failed attempts that we have had as a family. And, so it's just the normal of the White House is, coordinating, and they're doing, this. The representatives of the president have been speaking about it, but from the standpoint of the family, of course, she's not home. So there's nothing that they're doing as far as the family is concerned because she's not home. But Brittney's family, her teammates, and her support network are all gathering around Sherelle, her wife. Al Sharpton said that she told him that she was struggling and feeling terrified in Russian custody. Everything about this is your biggest nightmare. On top of the fact that BG is in a situation where this isn't even a trial. Nothing about this is justice, she said. Yeah, so it's unfortunate because Brittney Griner is imprisoned in a country that America is giving big money and weapons to an adversary to fight this country. America is giving money to Ukraine to kill Russians, and then Russia has American detainees. It's kind of hard to negotiate with a country when you are supporting a war on the other side. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tricky. I don't know how this ends. She's going to go back to Brittney Griner. Is going to be back in court later this week. I think they're going to try to get that lady 10 years. I don't know. Biden wanted to be president. So now you're president, right? Now you're president. And you have to actually govern. Everything's not going to just be thoughts and prayers and you reminiscing about your son, Bo, right? You got to do some other things too. Well, I'm waiting for Biden to get to the other things, right? Because all I see him doing is the same old thing. Same old thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfire-tv.com. And I am here 6 p.m. every day. Weekdays. I'm saying every day. Weekdays. Delivering the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from across the country. Show is fun. Show is upbeat. I like to be like that. But at the same time, I got to talk about what's really happening. And I'm going to give you things from an independent perspective. If a Republican's wrong, I'm going to call that out. If a Democrat's wrong, I'm going to call that out as well, of course. Very excited about the many ways that you can hear our show in the many different places. Shout out to the folks over at WRF Radio. But anywhere you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube.com/DJ Diamond K, I am here. And also on Saturdays at 6 p.m., the On Fire Mix Show, I go in the mix. Usually I'm playing Baltimore Club or House, but I do some hip hop too. And you can send me music, djdiamondk@gmail.com. We are an advertiser-supported audio and video network. You can get breaking news, podcasts, and TV shows covering topics that are important to our culture. I like to have these conversations, but we also discover, engage, and connect you with the latest news. You can support everything we do by visiting onfire-tv.com. I will be back here tomorrow, and so much going on. So, there's never a shortage of news and things to discuss. Of course, this is the Diamond K Show, onfire-tv.com. See you guys tomorrow.
Visit onfiretv.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.